If you would like to follow along, please go into your working folder, or actually wherever you saved it, and open up the document we saved from the previous lesson, and we called it Study in Blue 2. What we did in that one is we created a path. We named it Flower, and there it is. Make sure it's selected. Let's go back to Layers. Now in Layers, if I turn this off for a second, you can see it. It's right there. If I come down here, I want to isolate that flower, and I have this vector shape now that does that. If I click the mask button right here, nothing happens. Why? Because what we have is a mathematical vector shape, and what that mask does is uses paint. It's raster based. I'm going to undo that, my favorite key in the whole world. How do we make the isolation? Hold down, before you click that button, hold down the Command key on a Mac, the Control key in Windows, and then click that button. That's a different kind of mask. That's a vector mask. You can have raster and or vector masks attached to one image. Now what we've done is effectively isolated it. Now the cool thing is now, if I come over here and double click on this, I have some control over that shape over here. Let me go ahead and select it so you can see that. There's the vector mask. I can change the density. Actually not that bad, but I don't want to do that. I can feather it. Now, how do you feather something that's mathematical? Well, you're going to have to talk to Adobe about that one. But it does actually act as if it's raster and we're feathering out the edge. That's pretty interesting. Now, you do have other options that are grayed out because this is a vector. But I don't want it as a vector much longer. Let's close this for a second. I want to actually apply it and make it permanent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on the vector mask, and I'm going to go into Rasterize the Vector Mask. Now, the neat thing is it looks the same, but if I double-click now on the mask, I get more control, like Mask Edge, which is really a neat one. We'll talk more about this stuff when we get to selection. But you have more control if you want to use it. Let's go ahead and close out of that for now and collapse that. Now, right-click on it again and go into Apply. Now, this is a permanent thing, but that's really what I want. I like the selection. I couldn't make it any better if I tried, and I'm making it permanent. Now, open up Additions right here. Actually, click on it and open it up. You've got two things. These are the locator numbers from our friends at PhotoSpin, and it's a female hand, I think, holding up 3 old Polaroids, and a really kind of cool background. Looks kind of neat that way. What I want to do here is I want to apply masking to what we converted from a vector now to a raster and put that image of the flower inside of the Polaroids. Now let's start with the hand. What I need is the white area is gone. Let's see if we can do this pretty simple. Pick up your magic wand tool right over here. Now if you don't see that one, click and hold. You have a quick selection tool and a magic wand. Get the magic wand tool. The tolerance is set to 32. Tolerance represents how much of a brightness level it selects. That's the default. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to click right here. So it gets all the white areas. And I don't know, I guess I'm happy with that. But what I want for my mask on this one is I want the Polaroids, not the white. So we have to do something. Go up to the word Select on the pull-down menu and go down to Inverse. Okay, now click the masking button. Now this is a raster, so it's going to work. We've isolated that part out. Now I've noticed something when I do this. Notice this little line right here? That's part of the image that Magic Wand didn't capture. And what I would like to do is get rid of that too. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have the mask selected. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick up my paintbrush tool. I'm going to make sure I have black. Black means mask. I'm going to come right about here with a smaller brush. Now if you hold the Shift key, you draw a straight line. And that is about as straight line as I've ever seen. I'm going to get right about here. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, just go down. Sometimes that can happen with the Magic Wand. It's no big deal. I'm going to come over here and then hold the Shift key after I've clicked and come down to about there. I don't know if there's anything up there, but I'm going to make sure. I'm going to click and go across. It looks like there's just a little bit of something up there, which means there might be a little bit of something down here. So I'm going to get this area too. Okay, we got that done. What are we going to do next? Go back to Study in Blue. Go ahead and move it with the Move tool and say put it right there. Hold on the Alt key That's the Alt key in Windows and the Option key on a Mac. Same keys, different names. Click the Alt key and drag the flower and put another one about there. And do that again with the Alt key, Option key on a Mac, and put one right about there. I can use my arrow keys if I want to put it somewhere a little bit different. Now that doesn't look too realistic yet, but it's going to in a second. Turn off these two for a minute. We need to mask out the flower for this one and mask out the flower for this one. So pick up your magic wand tool, turn on Sample All Layers. That means it doesn't matter which one of these you're in. And come over here and click. I should get that. That's all I want. Now leave that selection alone. Go into the one, which I believe is this one right here. Select this one. Go ahead and turn it on. And then click Make a Mask. That's exactly what I want. Now let's do the same thing to this one right here. Let's go ahead and click, just like that. Turn this one back on. That's the one we want to apply the mask to. And click and make a mask. Cool. But we're not done yet. I like the color of this one. They should be different colors. Why? Because we can. So let's do this. Select this one right here. That's the one in the middle. Come into our adjustment layers right here and choose Hue and Saturation. Now you're going to notice something happens when I change the hue, is that everything is changing. We only want this attached to this. So click this button right here, and that controls only this one, the one directly below it, and let's change the color of the flower. Let's go to this one, the top one, and let's do something different. Come in here again and do black and white. Of course, everything's going black and white, so we have to lock it in and maybe put a tint on it. Click here, change the tint. Click OK. So in the previous lesson, we began with creating, using our freeform tool and the magnetic portion of the tool, a very precise selection around the flower. We isolated it out, we converted it into a vector mask, converted it into a raster mask, applied it to the image, made copies of it, and then changed the colors in the Polaroids. All starting with a vector path. That's power.